Okay, now we're at the stage where we're going to determine our layers. For each of the ruffles, I've been using strips of fabric that are 24 inches by 2 inches wide. I did that on this skirt, so it's 24 by 2 for this size dress. Now, as far as your inside, see how these inside layers here that you're going to sew together to get this effect here? See how I've got one piece of fabric in here, a piece of fabric in here with this ruffle attached, just like this. You have to measure around the bottom of your top of your skirt, because your inside strips have to be the same size as this when you sew it together, because when you sew it together you're going to be sewing a strip to a ruffle. So here's my strip with my ruffle, just like this, and I'm going to sew that with that connecting piece of fabric to the previous row. You can't really tell right here because I've already top stitched these rows, but don't do any top stitching until you actually get to the whole skirt connected, because you don't know if you're going to connect the row to the other row or not, because I could add, if I wanted to add another row onto this, I'm going to have to take that top stitching out. So do all your top stitching at the end. Another thing I want to mention is on your first layer, you don't use that connecting piece of fabric. You just put the ruffle directly onto the top of your skirt. So now you have to decide what kind of designs you want to make. So what I did is I just cut out a whole bunch of different fabrics I was planning on using. If you don't have a 24-inch strip, then just sew two 12 pieces, two 12.5-inch pieces together, like I did here, to get a 24-inch strip of fabric. Okay, so now I've already done one, so I've decided that I'm going to put my candy corn on the top of this one. So I don't need that connecting strip. This is going directly onto this. My next strip, I'm going to do these spiders, and I'm going to need that 14-inch strip of connection there. So, and then for each connecting layer, I need that extra strip that I can sew my ruffle on. Okay, so at this stage, what you want to do is figure out what kind of design you want to make. A nice way of doing it is just laying it out like this and then taking all your different trims. One thing I want to mention about the pom-poms, which is the next layer on here, it's hard to sew around these little pom-poms with a regular, you can try putting your needle position all the way over, but they still got in the way. So what I did is I pulled out my zipper foot, and this was you could either have a zipper foot like this one, or you can have a zipper foot like this one. Either one will work. But what you do is you'll put that on there as you're sewing. You put your pom-poms, your baby pom-poms on here. You can get them any size you want. But put that on your pressure foot, and then you'll be able to sew right along there, and you won't catch any of those pom-poms in your pressure foot. That's what I used, and it worked out fine for the other dress, the other skirt. Okay, so like I said, I bought these all at Michael's. They were 90 cents, and it's all coordinated. I haven't used the fuzzy ribbon yet, but I'm going to use the rest of these. I'm not going to use this because I used it for the shoelace, but I did try it on a piece of fabric. So I tried it a couple different ways. I did a stitch right down the center, and that worked. And then I also did a zigzag across the braid to see if that would work. And then I put in a zigzag. I was worried about using this on the skirt because it is such a thick braid, but then after I pulled it, I went, yeah, okay, it will go ahead and ruffle, but it works much better if you just do the stitch right down the center of the braid and not the zigzag. That zigzag just causes too much extra, maybe because I did it so tight. But if you really do want to use this braid as one of your layers, I would try it first on one of these and okay, decide whether you want to use it or not. Okay, so now I've got my layers all set up to go. I don't need that 14-inch piece on this one. I need it here, and I've already got this one done. So what you want to do is you want to take your braids and you just want to lay them out and see which looks cute on the best layer. And that's when you're going to decide how you're going to put your skirt together. So you just decide. You know, some of these trims might look better on other layers than they do on other ones, so it's all personal preference, because once you get it all put together, it's going to look cute no matter what. So so I think that looks okay. If I wanted to finish off all these layers, I could actually put my skirt together with all of these pieces still on here. Like one here, I wouldn't go purple on purple. I just think it's too much. So, okay. So first layer, you're going to take your fabric, which in this case is the candy corn. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to turn it down 1/4 of an inch all the way around, and then I'm going to turn it down another 1/4 of an inch, and I'm just going to hem it. And then I'm going to sew my lace on. So once I do that, I'm going to gather this edge and I'm going to evenly space it around the top of this skirt right here. And then I'm going to sew those together. So once those are sewed together, I'm not going to demonstrate it because ruffling takes forever. This skirt takes a long time to make. It's a time-consuming skirt because there's just so much ruffling in there. Okay, so this would be my my first layer. Let me just go this way. Okay, here's my first layer, and this will have it. This will be ruffled all the way around. So let's like ruffle it a little bit. Okay, so this will be ruffled all around with my trim on it, and then my next layer will be, since I've already got this one made, we'll go ahead and show that as a demonstration. I'm going to take my fabric that has my 14-inch piece of, so this would be, well, it's 14, but minus the seam, it would be 13.5. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to put this, and I'm going to sew this to the same seam. When I get closer, I'll show you as I sew it. But I'm not going to do it on video because it's just going to be too long and too time consuming. Okay, so see how that happened? So this will be my first layer with my trim on it. And then I just sewed that to that, and now I'm going to have that space in the middle with my second layer. Okay, so now I'm going to make another layer, and this time I'm going to sew this with my strip to this one, and then I'll have my third layer. So it'll be easier once I get to this point when you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So that's how simple this is. Let me just show it to you here. Okay, so first skirt, I sewed that layer with the strip, and this was my first ruffle. Okay, so then I sewed, which is the same piece as this, I sewed this to that same row of stitching, and that became that layer. And you just keep adding and adding. So if I wanted to add another layer here, I would take this piece of fabric, I would take this layer, open this skirt up, okay, see how I got my ruffle in my 1.5 inches here? I'm going to take that and I'm going to sew this to that layer right there. And I'm going to keep doing that until I can get my layers as deep as I want them. So let's say I just did that. I did it the wrong way. Let me put it the opposite way. Let's just say I wanted to add that. So this is going to be my fourth layer on this skirt. So now when I turn this over, I have now added a purple layer to the bottom of this skirt just by attaching that to that seam of stitching. Do you see how easy that is? So what you're going to do is you're just going to keep adding and adding and adding until you get as many layers as you want, and that's basically the skirt. And as far as the trim, you can do it without the trim, or if you want to add the laces, the rickrack, the pom-poms. It's all up to you, but just keep adding more and more layers, and you can even mix your colors. You know, you can put. I could have made a purple skirt, black, purple, black, purple, black, purple. For Christmas, you can go red, white, and blue. Would be really cute, even without any kind of trim. Gosh, there's just so many things you can do. So that is what I call a strip skirt, but I'll put a picture up when I'm done with it, because I'm not going to do all this gathering and sewing the trim on the video, because it's just time consuming. It just takes a long time. But that's how you do it. Very simple. Okay, I'll see you guys later.